Welcome to the Westport Library. Tonight's program will begin shortly. Please, take your seats.
Welcome to the Westport Library. Today's program will begin momentarily. Supported by Verso Studios, created locally and shared with the world.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bill Harmer, the Executive Director of the Westport Library. And on behalf of the library, I want to welcome you. You can applaud. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. On behalf of the Westport Library, we want to welcome you to the Trez Forum, one of the most dynamic and creative spaces in Connecticut. We're proud to once again partner with Startup Westport to celebrate innovation, entrepreneurship, and community impact. The relationship between the library and Startup Westport is more than a collaboration. It's a shared belief that creativity and curiosity fuel progress. Together, we've built a platform where ideas don't just get discussed, they take flight. That's what happens when community and imagination meet in a place like this. If you've been here before, you know that the Westport Library is not your traditional library. Through Verso Studios, we've built a state-of-the-art media facility and production hub that rivals commercial studios. Through Verso Records, we launched the first ever independent record label ever created by a public library. And through Verso University, we're redefining lifelong learning and education, empowering people to grow, adapt, and create at every stage of life. None of this exists in any other public library in the country. And they all exist right here because of partnerships like this one. So tonight, as we honor innovators who are changing industries and strengthening communities, we also celebrate what's possible when people come together around big ideas. It's now my pleasure to introduce someone who has been instrumental in championing that spirit of innovation here in Westport, Cliff Serlin, co-founder of Startup Westport, an entrepreneur and a true community builder. Cliff will introduce tonight's guest, Mark Shapiro. Cliff, the floor is yours.
Wow. Looking out at this crowd, I tell you, my heart is warmed. So thank you all for being here. Bill, thank you so much for those incredibly kind words. We at Startup Westport value the partnership with the Westport Library, so a round of applause for Bill, the whole team. Thank you. So yes, my name is Cliff Serlin. I am the president of Startup Westport. I want to acknowledge up front that we are competing against a Yankee playoff game, Mark Shapiro's beloved Chicago Cubs playoff game, and so hopefully we're sending some positive juju to each of those teams. All right, also as a quick aside, I know some of you were here last year for the Innovator of the Year Award when we honored Jimmy Pitaro, and if you remember, it was actually that night there was a Knicks playoff game. So, which brings me to the conclusion that we definitely need to have a chat with the sports scheduling gods. Like, we gotta sit down with them. Okay, so I stand before you here today on behalf of the Startup Westport board, as well as our 2,500 members, to welcome you to our signature event, the Innovator of the Year Awards. This past May, Derek Jeter, the captain of the New York Yankees, gave an amazing commencement speech at the University of Michigan, to the University of Michigan graduating class. He spoke about failure, he spoke about perseverance and passion, and the choices that people make on their journey. When you stop and think about it, there are striking similarities between baseball and starting a business. The road to success is paved with a lot of failures, and the one way to achieve your goals are through grit and determination. In baseball, if you have a batting average of 300, you'll likely make it to the Hall of Fame. Derek Jeter batted for his career 310. This means that Derek Jeter failed to meet his objectives 7 out of 10 times. And repeat that. Hall of Famer, Yankee shortstop, captain Derek Jeter failed 7 out of 10 times to meet his objectives. That's a lot of failure. Let's hear what he had to say about it.
You, me, every one of us has to learn to deal with failure. I wouldn't have had the success without the failures. It's your job to make sure that a speed bump doesn't become a roadblock. Success, it's hard. It's why we celebrate. It's why champagne is sprayed all over the locker room after winning a World Series. Why you will undoubtedly celebrate tonight. Oh, don't give me the little yeah. You know you're going to celebrate tonight. Prepare yourself for even bigger challenges ahead by surrounding yourself with good people who add value to your life. People you can and will learn from. Find someone worth looking up to. Find someone you don't want to disappoint. Those people, they will become a valuable source of motivation and accountability. Find someone, anyone, who believes in you, who will push you to achieve more day after day, year after year. You'll set your bar higher because of how much you respect and you value their support. It is powerful to know you're never alone. We can always fail on our own, but I tell you what, it's damn near impossible to succeed at anything significant alone.
And that is where Startup Westport steps in. We are many things to many people, but most importantly, we are a passionate community and support system for individuals who are pursuing their dreams. whether it be through a formal mentorship program, which I might add, we have the largest mentorship program in the state of Connecticut. One of our many educational series that we also offer. We are here to support entrepreneurs and innovators on their journey. Our belief is that failure is merely a temporary setback that can be analyzed, evaluated, and learned from. Tackled individually, as Derek Jeter said, that's a tough one, but faced head on with the power of a support network, there's nothing that can't be achieved. So tonight, we celebrate. We celebrate our amazing members. We celebrate our community. And most importantly, we celebrate 3 incredible individuals who are giving back to our community and making a difference in lives in so many different ways. I'm not sure if we're gonna end up spraying champagne around tonight later, but we'll see. Okay, before we get to the meat of the evening and the programming, I want to thank so many people who helped make tonight possible. From Startup Westport, thank you to Owen Sherman, Peter Propp, and Kara Curtis for all of your support to make tonight a reality. From the Endeavor team, thank you so much to Maura McGreevy and Rachel Lusby for all of your assistance. To our amazing sponsors, thank you for your continued support. HSS, Hospital for Special Surgery, Myriad 360, Wigan & Dana, Manifest Cyber, and our newest sponsor, Coastal Bridge Advisors, and my good friend, Bill Loftus. Thank you all so very much. And a quick plug for Startup Westport. We are all volunteers. I'll say it again, we're all volunteers. Please come join us. Become a mentor. Join one of our special interest groups. Help with our pitch competition, which, by the way, is going to be held here on November 20th, where we will award $25,000 to the winner of a Shark Tank Lake pitch competition. Or conversely, maybe you're launching a new business. If you are, reach out to us. We're here to help. All right, on to the main event. I'd like to bring up on stage our amazing first select woman and co-founder of Startup Westport, Jen Tooker, to introduce tonight's Community Innovation Impact Award recipients, Andrea and Bill Pecorello. Jen?
Thank you, Cliff. Good evening, how's everybody doing? That's amazing. What an amazing crowd. As Cliff said, it's just quite something to stand up here and look out on 500 of my closest friends. So thanks all for being here. I'd like to start, I'm lucky enough to and honored to be introducing Bill and Andrea tonight, but I'd love to start my comments with a reel, and then I'll continue in a minute.
Every parent wants the same for their child, for them to find their passion, lead a life with purpose, be a productive member of their community, and reach their full potential.
All right, so a few comments by me as by way of introduction. Bill and Andrea have been proud Westport residents for over 30 years, and they've raised their 3 children here. Andrea was the PTA treasurer at Kings Highway and at Coleytown Middle School and at Staples High School. And she was on the board of both their temple and A Better Chance of Westport. Bill is the founder and CEO of Consumer Edge, a leading global data and AI insights company, serving institutional investors and Fortune 1000 brands. So both accomplished in their own right, but they always knew it was important to instill in their children a desire to give back. So with that in mind, Sweet Pea Bakery was founded in 2019 by Andrea and Bill to address an important issue and fill a pressing need in this community. That important issue and that pressing need is to offer training and employment for young adults and adults with disabilities. I think it's at about that time that we met and became friends and supporters of each other. I was sold on their mission and their vision from day one, and they knew it. And the more I educated myself, the more I realized they were right. Because so many of us were inspired by Andrea and Bill. Many more programs have been launched since 2019 with a special focus on young adults and adults with disabilities. So Andrea and Bill's legacy extends well beyond Sweet Pea Bakery in this community. Their inspirational leadership, their compassionate outlook, and their relentless execution are all truly amazing. I've learned a lot from Bill and Andrea, and I'm so lucky to call them friends. So without further delay, I'd like to ask Bill and Andrea to come up and receive their Community Impact Award.
It's heavy.
I have no idea how to actually give that to you.
Should we leave it there for
Should we,
everybody
yeah,
to see?
should we,
We'll show it and then,
why don't we do one, I'm looking for, Kara, should we do like one picture like this and then have Andrea and Bill make some comments? Okay, great.
okay.
All right. Hi, you should be, you guys should be holding this.
Bill, you can hold it. Where we look?
Hold it. All right.
I have to put the glasses on. Good evening, everyone. My husband Bill and I want to start by thanking Jen Tucker, Cliff Serlin, and Startup Westport for this incredible honor and for recognizing Sweet Pea Bakery with the Community Impact Award. It means so much to be here tonight among so many innovators and leaders who are shaping the future of our community. When people ask what Sweet Pea Bakery does, I could tell you that we make incredible cookies, but that's not really what we do. We solve a problem that most people don't even know exists, and we do it with a business model that proves doing good and doing well aren't mutually exclusive. Sweet Pea Bakery began with a simple but powerful idea that adults with disabilities deserve meaningful work opportunities and that our community would be stronger if we built a place where they could learn skills, gain confidence, and feel included. There are 19,000 adults with disabilities in Fairfield County alone. They face two types of isolation. The isolation when they age out of school at 21 and can't find meaningful employment. The unemployment rate for adults with disabilities is 75%, not because they can't work, but because employers don't know how to include them. And even when they find jobs, most times they are often the only neurodivergent person at their place of work, and colleagues can't relate to their experience. At Sweet Pea, we don't just create jobs, we create community. Bill and I don't have a child with a disability, but we feel that every parent wants the same for their child, to have a sense of purpose, find their passion, be a productive member of their community, and to reach their full potential. All wonderful P words represented by the P in Sweet Pea Bakery. And so Sweet Pea Bakery was launched with a mission of creating meaningful job opportunities for adults with disabilities in the baking industry. In 2019, we started with a small 800 square foot commercial kitchen, opened the porch as our retail home in 2021, and moved to a 3,000 square foot facility in 2024. Since we've launched, we've trained and employed 19 adults with disabilities, each one bringing their own story of growth, confidence, and pride. Today, our team bakes thousands of cookies each week that are sold wholesale, shipped nationwide, and even served in iconic places like Yankee Stadium. Our cookies compete with the best in the country, but for us, the true measure of success isn't just how many cookies we sell, it's how many lives we touch. Every cookie produced by Sweet Pea Bakery represents something much bigger than a delicious treat. It represents meaningful work for someone who might otherwise be overlooked. When you enjoy one of our cookies, you're investing in someone's future and in a community that values inclusion. Running Sweet Pea isn't like running a typical business. We carry two bottom lines, one financial and one social. We don't measure success solely by a balance sheet because our goal is not just efficiency or profit, it's people. Cookie sales are a vital part of supporting our mission, but they aren't enough on their own. Because we design our bakery around creating jobs and opportunities, not just maximizing margins, we rely on the generosity of donors, grants, and community partners who believe in inclusive employment. That's what makes Sweet Pea unique. Part business, part mission, fully devoted to impact. And the impact ripples outward. Families tell us how proud they are to see their sons and daughters thriving at work. Customers tell us how inspired they are to make purchases and give gifts that give back. And our employees tell us simply that they feel seen, valued, and included. We are proof that a business can be both competitive in the marketplace and deeply rooted in social good. That's what makes this recognition from Startup Westport so meaningful. It highlights how innovation isn't only about technology or products, it's also about reimagining how business itself can serve society. Our vision is to expand Sweet Pea's reach so we can employ even more adults with disabilities, create new training programs, deepen our community partnerships, and continue to model inclusive employment. So I'll leave you with one simple question. How can you help us? Maybe it's sending Sweet Pea cookies as a corporate or a personal gift. Maybe it's serving them at events, giving them as customer thank yous, or adding them to your office cafeteria. Or maybe it's simply introducing us to someone in your network who can help us expand our reach. On behalf of everyone at Sweet Pea, thank you for believing in our mission and celebrating the power of community-driven businesses. Together, we can prove that when you mix purpose with passion, you don't just bake cookies, you bake opportunity for all. Thank you.
Amazing.
All right.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Andrea and Bill. A well-deserved standing ovation. For all you do, thank you, thank you, thank you. And if we can just, I'm gonna double click on what you said. So if each one of you can think about ways in which you can help amplify Andrea and Bill and Sweet Pea's story, I think it would be a wonderful way for us to show support for all the efforts that they've put in. So again, thank you. Okay, now we're gonna make a shift, and we're gonna focus on the Innovator of the Year Award. So to introduce tonight's recipient, Mark Shapiro, we'd like to invite to the stage Mr. Jay Williams. Westport's own Jay Williams.
I love Westport. It's the only place where I actually feel tall. All right. Good evening, everyone. I wrote down some things because I thought it was important to get out, but I have to say, before I bring Mark and Sara up for this fireside chat, I want to give you guys a fair warning. Usually when Mark walks into a room, two things typically happen. First thing is that the smartest person in the room quickly recognizes they are no longer the smartest person in the room. And secondly, everybody double checks their contracts. Trust me, I've been through this process before. But the truth is, Mark is not just sharp. He is a definition of a man in the arena. As Theodore Roosevelt once said, it's not the critic who counts. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, who strives valiantly, and who, if he fails, at least fails while doing greatly. That is Mark Shapiro. He has always dared greatly. He sees paths that others can't. He makes plays others wouldn't have the courage to attempt. And time after time, he proves that being prolific doesn't come from playing it safe. It comes from stepping into the fire and finding a way to win. I am 44 years old. 23 years ago, I was fortunate to be the second pick in the NBA draft. I played 1 year for the Chicago Bulls, and then I hit a utility pole going 75 miles an hour. That night, while I was in the hospital with my body torn to shreds, I saw a similar walking down the hallway. Now, one could make the case that I was hallucinating, which I did during that time, obviously. But a man walked up to me, and a man handed me a pendant, and a man prayed with me and told me that I was gonna come back better than ever. That man was Coach K, a guy that really imprinted me for 3 years of my life while we got a chance to win a national championship, and I got a chance to win 2-time National Player of the Year. I fast forward to a moment several years ago. I've been at ESPN for 18 years. I've been on TV. My trajectory had always been like this, working my way up, trying to figure out who I really wanted to be in this space of television and media. And I found myself in a predicament. I found myself, just like any organization, going through countless reorgs, going through attrition. I found myself in a position where I was about to potentially lose my job. And during that time, a person started pursuing me. I was like, man, this guy has a lot of similar characteristics that I kind of feel like I have, but I'm questioning myself. This person is passionate. They're energetic. They have a belief. They have conviction. And I sat across the table from Mark Shapiro. And Mark, you believed in me in a way I didn't believe in myself. And honestly, I would not be standing where I am today with my job, with the position I have, knowing that I don't need to be Stephen A. Smith. I don't need to be Mike Wilbon. I could be an entrepreneur. I could be somebody who's passionate about financial literacy, and I could be passionate about my craft and TV, and I could still win. For me, this is personal. Mark is my agent. He's my mentor. But more than that, I feel like he's my big brother. Loyalty doesn't even begin to describe it. I've watched him lead at WME and now at TKO with the same intensity, clarity, and relentless drive that first drew me to him years ago. Every step of the way, he has shown me what it means to lead with vision, to take risk with courage, and to operate at a level most people will never even begin to understand. And tonight, we're all lucky enough to hear him in a conversation with someone who knows business, markets, and leaderships at the highest level, CNBC's own Sara Eisen. So please join me in welcoming my big brother, my mentor, and one of the most prolific minds in our industry, Mark Shapiro, alongside Sara Eisen.
That was beautiful, Jay. Thank you.
Jay, wow. That was
Tough to follow.
I need my next contract.
No, I'm very honored to be here. First of all, in Westport, which is an amazing community. I'm learning. I need a realtor here, it sounds like. but also to be here interviewing Mark, because Mark has a lot of people he can choose from. He knows a lot of very talented, very famous, very smart people. So it is my great honor, and he knows I would do anything for him as well, to be here speaking to you. And to be in Westport. You know, I got announced that I was going to do this, and I heard from so many people in my world who apparently live in Westport and are here tonight. I mean, this place comes out hard. What does the honor mean to you? Innovator of the War. Of the year.
I would just start by saying, I mean, this is very humbling, and this is not a false humility. I mean, you're sitting here and you're hearing the story of Bill and Andrea, and like, I'm in sports and entertainment, right? Like, that's real life stuff, what you do. I mean, that's absolutely incredible. It's very moving. It's incredibly inspiring, and someone upstairs is watching that, and hopefully we can all follow the example that you've set. And Jay, the comeback story that he's made, the father that I know he is, the friend that he is, the kids that he mentors all over the country that he doesn't even talk about, and of course, not to embarrass you. What time you got to be in the office tomorrow?
I'm all right.
Yeah, early morning show, works her ass off. Success story all by herself. I mean, to get to the spot and the perch she has at CNBC has been amazing to watch. And all the while, she faces all kinds of adversity all the time. I mean, she's a woman, right, in a largely man's world when you're talking about television, and she's carved out her own niche. And by the way, she's come from a family where her grandfather was a Holocaust survivor. So this is nothing what I do compared to these three people. And
Thank you. Thank you. But we're here to talk about you, Mark. By the way, so I've been doing this about 18 years as well, interviewing CEOs, business leaders, world leaders, and if there's one observation I have about people ask me all the time, what makes a great leader? What makes a great leader, I think, is someone who has vision, who can see the future and take a company and an organization where the future is, you know, the 30,000-foot big picture view, but at the same time knows every detail of what's happening inside the company. And Mark Shapiro is that kind of leader. I mean, this is a guy who's literally negotiating acquisitions of sports leagues and doing, you know, billion-dollar sports rights deals, and is texting me, that was a great hit you did in Riyadh the other day. You do that. You do that all. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
You know, Mark, I sort of wanted to begin where it began for you, which is ESPN. I mean, maybe you're texting me because you were a TV producer yourself. Right. You started as a production assistant at ESPN.
That's right. I started as a PA, production assistant at ESPN, and actually started off in LA while they were launching ESPN2. And they brought me out here to interview in Bristol for a job overseeing a project called Sports Century, which is kind of like the precursor to 30/30. It was the end of the century, and ESPN was going to look back on the last 100 years of sports and put it all in context and perspective and documentaries and bios and everything else. And we had to find a home to do the series. Like, where were we going to put it? Because Bristol, of course, was jam-packed, and New York was too far away. And by the way, I didn't want to live in Bristol, so I wasn't going to move to do it if it was going to be in Bristol. So they gave me the freedom to go out and look. And there was an editing facility here in Westport, Connecticut, actually at where the Crate and Barrel is. It was called National. And my wife and I drove from Bristol after being romanced there a little bit to come check it out. Had a great meeting. And then we're like, let's go see the town. And I just remember we drove down Campo. We, for whatever reason, took a right on Galt and a left on Sandhopper Trail. And we're just really blown away by the development. And we were at that moment like, can you imagine if one day we could live here? And we actually pulled somebody over. We parked and we're looking around, and somebody was coming out to get their newspaper very late. And we said, look, not to be obnoxious, introduce ourselves. Like, how much do these houses cost here? And then we were humbled, like maybe one day we could get to this street. But Westport, this honor means a lot. It's a total privilege, and as I said, I'm humbled to be here. But Westport is a place that really has become home with a capital H for us. It's a town where like everything else in life, you get back what you give. And that project was a real winner for us. We moved and hired 100 people into the town to produce all kinds of projects. We took the best of talent from New York City, the best of talent from Bristol. The show was a big success and won a bunch of awards and made a lot of money and really launched my career. And ever since, you know, we've just integrated into the town. And we now have an investment in Masico, which is a restaurant here. We're members and supporters of the Community Synagogue. On Saturday night, Kim and I went to an amazing event with some friends at of course, the Playhouse, which is celebrating its 95th year. And there was a gala honoring Nathan Lane. I mean, where else are you going to find a town with this much culture, diversity, excitement, friendliness, and at the same time, real ambition, like ambition. The kids are ambitious, the parents are ambitious, there's a lot of Wall Streeters here, and it teaches you that the strong survive.
And a great library. I mean, this is like a fancy library. So you're a production assistant at ESPN, and then you worked your way up. You're a producer at ESPN. I feel like we should, you know, we're here to hear some leadership lessons from you. Risk-taking, obviously, is a big part of your story. Pardon the interruption. I don't know if people know. This is the man that created Pardon the Interruption, which has become an institution, a phenomenon. I think one of the hallmark programs, obviously, of ESPN. How did you come up with that idea?
Look, I mean, frankly, this is just a great testament and a story for all your kids, which is after Sports Century, I was running a network called ESPN Classic, and which of course was a big history channel. And I came up with a couple of ideas for new shows for ESPN. And I sent those treatments into the head of ESPN, who was my boss at the time, and said, hey, here's some ideas. I want you to look at them, a couple of concepts. And I got no response. Oh yeah, I'll take a look at those. And they just kind of sat on the desk for a couple of months. One was for like a Nightline show, if you remember that show on ABC. It was a sports version. And the other one was Pardon the Interruption, which frankly I came up with because Kim and I were working out in the basement, living in Regent's Park, and I was watching Crossfire, and I was thinking to myself, why don't we have a show like this on ESPN with a lot of debate? And it kind of went nowhere. And when I ultimately had the courage to go to my boss and say, you know, I know you're busy. I gave you something 2 months ago. I put a lot of work into it, a lot of research. What did you think? Oh, yeah, I forgot to tell you that. Yeah, no, that's not good. That won't work because it'll hurt SportsCenter. Thinking that if people would watch kind of a news and debate show at 5:30 p.m., they would tune away from SportsCenter, which was the cash cow of ESPN at 6 o'clock. And of course, I tried to argue that he was wrong, and that didn't work. And then ultimately, I got promoted thereafter, and then I just greenlit the show.
I was gonna say, so you took his job instead.
And by the way, any show is a combination. It's a combination of format, and it's a combination of the talent. So the show has a great format, but if you don't have Tony Kornheiser and Mike Wilbon and years of the two of them debating sports and news in the halls of the Washington Post, if you don't know that they have that camaraderie, that chemistry, that magic recipe, you wouldn't know to put them on. And I knew that from working with them for years, and the show took off. But I'll tell you, when you come up with a lot of the devices, or you see a lot of the devices on the show, you know, I'll tell you, that was a group of people we put in a room, like a couple producers, but then we put a dentist in the room, and we put a friend in the room, and a doctor in the room, and a lawyer in the room, all that had some kind of knowledge of sports. And we just said, let's throw up ideas on how we're gonna create the format of this show so it's not just two guys yelling at each other. And it worked. And it just, we didn't have to get somebody that was steeped in creating shows and had a history of creating shows with big ratings. We just wanted opinion, and then we needed to ultimately make a decision based on their ideas.
And maybe that's the takeaway, because it really was innovative, because you took two guys that were not television personalities,
right?
Innovative there, totally different pacing, I think, than other shows, and just became kind of a quintessential sports show in the middle of the day that really, I think, surprised and felt like something very different.
Yeah, no, but it's all the mix and the format, but it really is. I mean, these two hit, and they've been doing it for 25 years, and they're not too full of each other, and you don't feel arrogant. They try not to be something that they aren't. It's very authentic in a day and age where the audience really appreciates authenticity.
You also made some cultural changes at ESPN, I know, around meetings, like small changes that led to big impact. Talk a little bit about that and how you've taken that with you.
Well, look, you're being put in charge of this incredible company. And I grew up a sports fan, so this is like a dream come true to be running ESPN at whatever it was, 30 years old. And there are all kinds of doubters and naysayers and folks that want you to fail. And everybody you interviewed for the various jobs that you're in, you're now reporting to. And they can't understand that. And, frankly, you have to go with your gut. You have to have conviction. You need to listen. You need to be curious. You need to not preach and act like you know everything, because you don't. And I think, as a leadership recipe that I've taken with me throughout my career, I surrounded myself with the right people. I mean, I am crazy when it comes to hiring the right people around me, because how much can just one person do? It doesn't matter how much detail or how granular I get with business. It's about the fact that there's just so much to do, and you just can't accomplish it if you don't have experts in their field, people that will work hard, people that are passionate, people that have vision, people that will put themselves out there, people that have courage and conviction and will give it to you straight, by the way. And if you fail, we'll get right back up and do it again, take a shot. And you have to have their backs, and they will have yours. So loyalty, has been a real staple for me for my career. And I know that one of the reasons I've had some measures of success is because I've carried teams with me. When I left ESPN, I took 16 people with me to Six Flags. When I left Six Flags and went to Dick Clark Productions, I took 10 people with me to that stop. And then when I went to IMG and William Morris and now TKO, a big portion of that team has followed me, including my CFO who's with us here tonight, Andrew Schleimer. Like, you have to know that it's the team around you that makes you great.
How do you do that? How do you build that loyalty? How do you inspire that?
Well, first of all, pay for performance, and pay for performance truly, and reward success. And no job is too small. So even if it's my assistants, I'm getting a cup of coffee. Do you want one? Like, just never get too big on your britches. Like, you'll do any job. And when they see that you're willing to dig in, and you're the first one in, and you're the last one to leave, and you're not asking them to do anything else that you wouldn't do yourself, that carries. And you have to celebrate success. And you cannot dwell on failure, because there's all kinds of times where we fail or fallen down, or a big mess, or this didn't rate, or this show didn't hit, or bad press, and you just have to get past it. It's water off the back. Learn from it. Take time to learn from it and see, so you don't repeat the same mistake. But build a team that just keeps charging.
It also gets into another issue, which is culture, and another thing that I've learned in my study of business, which is culture eats strategy for breakfast. I feel like you are a representation of that. How do you build a good culture?
Look, it starts with, I'll tell you, everybody has kids or nieces and nephews or grandchildren, whoever's here tonight. Presence is so much. All these kids that are, this school, of course, there's somebody that's always smarter or has a better degree or has a master's or more experience. But there's so much to be said for presence, for communication, for collaboration, for creativity, for hard work ethic, especially today when there's so many ways out, and especially in this town, by the way, where our kids, frankly, just have so much. They do. We are a very, we enable. and that's happening in a lot of towns, but this is an affluent town. And so to be able to have success, and you want to share that with your kids, which is so amazing, and it feels so good, but you don't want to share so much that they don't get the lessons of what it takes to overcome adversity, work hard, work your way up the ladder, and succeed.
Work hard is a big one for you. You're like a grinder. You are always working. What is your schedule?
It's bad. I mean, it's
you travel a lot, too.
Yeah, exactly. All combination. I mean, look, I just burn it at both ends. Here's my secret. Everybody, I was telling Kim about this the other day. my wife, that they want to talk about your schedule and how much you're traveling, you do this. I just burn it at both ends is what I do. Like, the travel might be personal related. Going to visit my son this weekend at a football game, and we're taking friends with us. Like, I don't slow down, because unfortunately this all could end very quickly, whatever your definition of end is, with work or play or life. And I just want to breathe it and suck up as much as I possibly can while I can. So that means a lot of red eyes. That means flying back from Los Angeles last night and landing at 1 a.m. so that I can get what I have to get done today so we can be up here on stage tonight. And it's not, you're looking for sympathy or a shoulder to cry on. It's what you choose. And if it's too much for you, get out. Right? No one's forcing you to do it. I like to really live life, and I love experiences, and I love events. And when I go to great places with Kim and my family, and while we're soaking in how great it is, I'm immediately thinking about who can we come back here with? Who can we share this experience with? Who can we share this event with? Who would really love this? Because like passing down life experiences is just amazing.
Do you drink coffee?
I drink coffee in the morning. No, look, I'm just kind of built that way, and I think it's also like just passion, right? I'm very passionate about what I do, and I've always been a believer that if you're not, don't do it. Who leaves ESPN to go to Six Flags, which is on the verge of bankruptcy, and I won't even take my own kids to? But there was the challenge.
And you turned it around.
Right, and we turned it around. And by the way, what's the first step I made? And he's here tonight. I hired the CFO of Disneyland Paris. I mean, who would know it better and teach me what it means to run a public company, teach me finance, teach me what free cash flow means, like metrics and markers and ROI, and not be afraid to say, I don't know. Because guess what? You don't know how to operate the way I know how to operate. That's what makes a team. And I can't stress that up. I'm such a believer in that, because just team has always gotten me everywhere. And at the same time, I'm demanding, and if you're not performing, you're out. That's just what it is. I mean, it's not personal. Or if you're a close confidant, or you're on the team and things are working really well, and then they're not, that feedback is important. You have to be able to tell members of your team where they're not delivering so they have a chance to course correct.
Is Six Flags safe now to take my kids?
Not right now. It's a redux. They've done the exact same thing it was. We fixed it, cleaned it up, put it through a bankruptcy, got rid of the debt, and now they've messed it up again. And actually, we're getting calls to come back and run it, but we're not going to do that.
Oh, okay. That's some breaking.
I had a lot of kids' birthday parties there, though. I'll tell you, it was all reported. It was disclosed, so it wasn't an issue, and paid for it. But it was a lot of fun.
Wow, okay, so Six Flags, Dick Clark Productions, and now it's a good thing you like experiences and events, because that is what you are doing now.
That's right.
At running WME and TKO. And for those that don't know, we have this great video that Mark's team put together on WME to really showcase how it is at the forefront of global representation and so much more. Take a look.
I can't believe it. Here we are.
When she finally walks into the restaurant, hate to say it, but I knew it, I was already gone. Oh, Benny, don't do it, you're breaking her heart. Benny, don't do it, Benny, don't do it. I'm sorry you're here for someone else. It's good to see your face, and I really hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. I'm sorry I'm here for someone else. I know you wish that I could stay and talk at the bar all by ourselves, but I'm here for someone else. I'm still in love with you. I'm going out of my mind. I couldn't take it anymore. I was already running for the kitchen doors. You were always the one I should have waited for. I can't lose you again, not again, not again, not again.
A lot. It's impressive. I mean, it's like everyone we recognize. It's kind of a complicated business. Like, how did you get to WME, and how different was it then than what it is now?
Yeah, so WME Group is just a pure play representation, just so to really simplify it for you. We represent athletes, we represent actors, writers, directors, comedians,
journalists,
authors, journalists, brands, as you can see, production companies, as you can see. And that's what it is. It's just a pure play representation. By the way, and that's leadership just by definition, right? You have all these models who are all looking for their future. What's my path? How am I building my brand, my business, my profile, whatever your name is, Inc., right? Because it's not enough anymore. It used to be, hey, I'm a movie star. Now, honestly, with the exception of Denzel Washington, I would tell you, everybody's looking to blow it out and expand, right? Especially with social, right? Denzel Washington just wants to win Tonys and win Oscars, and we're lucky enough to represent him, and he's unbelievable, and it's been good for anyone involved with him. But finding scripts is obviously hard, but everybody else, look at what Ryan Reynolds has done. Superstar actor, right? Superstar writer. I mean, Deadpool, that's him behind it. And his writing team decides one day, we're gonna start an ad agency. If I'm gonna write all these scripts, and he's obviously really funny and satire and sarcastic, I bet we can do this for brands. And now he does that for brands. And then on top of it, he does ad campaigns for those brands or movies or TV shows. So he's expanding his empire. And then Aviation Gin, which we invested in, came out, and he blew the doors off that, mostly with his marketing campaign. And now he does Mint Mobile. So he's really turned into an entrepreneur, a businessman. And when you're representing all these brands or these individuals, you have to be able to help them plot out a future, right? Like what their career is going to be, where they're going to take it. I was at a breakfast yesterday with John Cena. John Cena, I mean, incredible guy, but he started at the WWE, which we now own, and he's still wrestling with the WWE, but he's a movie star, and he does commercials, and he's all kinds of consumer products that he endorses, and even with all his success, he's got his team, and they're plotting what are the next steps for the next phase, for the next chapter, which is really smart, because your shelf life these days, whether you're a brand or you're a star, it's fleeting. It's very ephemeral because of social. It's just in and out. You're a star today and you're nothing tomorrow.
So you mentioned WWE. So you're president of WME, and also the other company, as if that wasn't enough, TKO, publicly listed, very fast-growing sports entertainment business. We've got a good little clip on that one too. Take a look.
They gon' see me on time. They gon' see me on time.
This is one of the purest fights that we can have in the UFC.
They gon' see me on time.
Welcome to the toughest sport on dirt.
I just wanna see me on top.
I gave my soul to these people a long time ago.
Take it how you want, and not surprised with what it's coming to. All this work of mine, I'm how I'm different like some honeydew. Don't know how they take me as a joke, I feel it funny too. Function elevated when the liquor hit the funny crew, but we ain't the ones to play around, but really anyway. You can see the passion is flowing all through the veins. You can see the vision is putting them in a maze. I go handle business, you probably go entertain. You go in the sunny, no wonder I got the reins. If it's snowing in, you probably in my lane. Better get the moving, the energy here insane. Where the life is going, the prodigy in the game. Guess I gotta show him he's a king. I'm on top. Everybody knows when they see us, how they got it on beat. If it's getting hot, it's cause I'm walking with the heat. Now I went into the see me, I'm on top. Known to take a place to the ceiling, I'm on top. Based it on the man of the city. All I do is hustle when I move with the muscle. I can tell they want no trouble, need a fire when they see me. I'm on top.
The champ is
All right, so let me start it. Thank you. To define this company, this is just anything under the sports umbrella. I mean, obviously it's leagues. We own WWE and UFC and PBR, which is Professional Bull Riders, but we also own On Location, which is the biggest sports hospitality business in the world. So think nobody these days, it's not good enough to go to a baseball game or the Super Bowl and have a ticket and get a hot dog. Everybody wants personalized experiences, customized experiences, velvet rope, white glove, red carpet. They want to meet whoever it is, Lady Gaga, before she goes on the air or goes on the stage. That's the world we're living in. So On Location does that. And then IMG is the biggest content distributor of sports media around the world. So they take the Super Bowl and they do deals with 170 countries so that the Super Bowl can be seen around the world. So that's that business. That's where you and I mostly speak a lot because that's a public company.
Right, and it's done very well.
Yeah, knock on wood.
Well, you know what's interesting? So it's a public company. You've had public company, and then a take private, and then a spin-off, and then a split. I mean, it's gone through a lot of restructurings, and now you have these two businesses, one private, one public. What did you learn from all of that, and what was the sort of strategic insight that led you to split the companies?
Yeah, you know, the other thing is, like, I don't get too high on the highs and too low on the lows. I'm probably guilty of not smelling the roses enough, but I know that, and I think I have good self-awareness, and I'm working on that. But in this example, the question Sarah's really asking, we failed is what happened. I mean, we went public as a public company. Endeavor is what it was called. It was the umbrella, and it had all this stuff, by the way, and more, lots of events. And it really never took as a public company. We didn't fail because we had too much debt. We didn't fail because we weren't performing or operating well. We didn't fail because we weren't hitting earnings. In fact, we were beating the street every quarter, and the stock was basically frozen. It didn't go below the strike price when we went public, or it did for temporarily, but it stayed where it was. It was a little higher, but it just wasn't meeting what our investors had envisioned. So rather than sit there and keep trying to just duke it out and it'll catch on, we realized it was just too much. It was too cumbersome. The model was too complicated, too many assets. The street likes easy. They like simplicity. They want predictability. They want to be able to do their models. And if you can't give it to them easy, there's a lot of other investments and places they can go. So we kind of took a step back and said, how can we financially engineer this and reverse course? And reversing course was putting representation under WME Group and going private with Silver Lake Partners. They're our majority owner of the company. They, in fact, own the whole company. And then TKO, which is public and is just sports and everyone can understand it. As long as we stay inside the umbrella of sports, hospitality, content distribution, partnerships and sponsorship, media rights, ticket sales, all in sports, they buy it. And that's why the stock has been so successful.
So how do you divide your responsibilities? Because you do both.
That's right. So, I mean, there's only so many hours in a day. So you just have to have great teams on both sides of the fence, who can, it's my job to, with Ari Emanuel, my partner, to set a vision, and then it's our job to put the team in place that can execute and then make them accountable for executing.
What is the future of TKO?
Sports is insane right now. I mean, it's, you know, I talked about this the other day. When I was at ESPN and we were under the Disney umbrella, we were like the toy shop, right? That ABC and Disney, even though ESPN was worth more than the entire Walt Disney Company combined at the time. This was in the 90s, early 2000s. I mean, incredible cash flow. This company is a machine, it's a brand. Your kids grew up watching SportsCenter every morning before they went off to school. End of story. And they had all the properties too. Well, ESPN it's morphed, it's changed. We're now in a streaming environment, right? And at the same time, the only thing that brings people together is sports. It's like the last bastion of unifying content. Think about that. Because we can watch what we want when we want. We can binge it if we want to binge it. It's all on your server. You'll stream it whenever you want to. You don't have to tune in. But for sports, it's appointment viewing. You want to be there. You want to root. You want to root against. You want to be part of the conversation in real time, at work, at play, on the phone, with your friends, out and about. And sports does that. Plus, there's so many human characteristics we all relate to, right? Redemption and revenge and resilience and survival and the comeback kid. We all relate to that. So it resonates, and it's something warmer that you want to be a part of. It makes you feel like you're a participant, not a passenger. Really, think about that. You go to a movie. Movie's awesome. Movie moves you. It might be super visceral, but the outcome is the same every time. In sports, the outcome is different every single time. And you as an audience feel like you have an impact on the outcome, especially if you're in the arena. And that may be BS or not, but that's what you feel. And that's just very exciting. It's motivating and inspirational. And it's going to keep people week in and week out watching college football on Saturdays, watching the NFL on the multiple nights it's on, going to different events and paying top dollar to go there. And if you're a platform like Netflix, who said they'd never get into sports, and now look at them, they're all over sports, Amazon, Apple with Major League Baseball and soon to be Formula One, and then, of course, the linear platforms like CBS and ABC and ESPN who are still in that game. Sports is going to drive viewership, subs, retention, and that all plays into our favor at TKO.
Well, and these negotiations that you're doing, I mean, there's some incredible deals, the UFC Paramount deal, the WWE Netflix global deal. Like, you're on the other side of the Disneys that you once worked for. What have you learned about the art of deal making and getting what you want?
I love that. Look, I would just tell you that, like, we're all selling. I don't know what business you're selling. You could be selling cookies, right? You could be selling a dream. You could be selling a comeback. Could be selling an opportunity. Or you're selling for your shareholders, but you're selling. So I'm at ESPN. I'm buying. I'm buying properties. I want to put Monday Night Football on ESPN, but I want to pay the least amount of money I have to pay to do that. The least amount of money I have to pay means more profit for Mickey Mouse. Now, flip to where I am now at TKO. I'm selling rights. So I want you to buy the UFC, but I want you to spend as much as you possibly can to buy it. So I'm creating a marketplace of competition. I'm creating a marketplace where these platforms are going after each other, all trying to get the best position to ultimately take the UFC from ESPN, or ESPN's trying to retain it. And that's the business you're in. And of course, it's sales, and it's data, and it's analytics. But you know what it is at the end of the day? It's relationships. At the end of the day, everything is about relationships. So you can never take them for granted. When you're coming up, or your kid's coming up, people remember what you say, or they see what you say on social, and it sticks with you. How you treat people, fair, kind, even my staff. Yes, I'm demanding. Yes, I'm brutally honest, right? But it's never personal. And I'm not afraid to ask for that same 360 feedback and then not hold them in tow or in the dungeon because they told me something I didn't want to hear.
So what's the toughest negotiation that you've been in?
I would still say, well, I don't know, let's see here. There's two. When we first bought the UFC, we bought the UFC for $4.2 billion. And as you'd expect, everyone said, you're crazy, you overpaid. Like, well, first of all, what's overpaying? Overpaying is what the market will bear. So there's competitors out there, and there were a lot of folks that wanted to buy the UFC, and we had to spend $4 billion to do it. And we knew that was a big number, and we were highly levered to do it, and now you have to monetize that and make that a winner. And when we went out to do the media rights for the UFC, because they were on Fox, Fox tells us day one, we're not renewing. So we know we don't have Fox. So now we go to the rest of the market, and the UFC was still kind of in that phase of it's too bloody, or blood on the mat, or it's not mainstream enough. And what we found was a lot of no's as we went along the way. So then remember, you just need two to win, two bidders, but we didn't have any. And finally, we went back to Fox, and I brought Dana White in there, and we tried to play the guilt routine. Like, we've been so good, and we've done so well on Fox, and you can't just kick us to the curb. I mean, you're in big trouble if you're backpedaling like that. And they offered us a renewal, which was a 50% haircut. I mean, that's just a total disaster. And then we just created a market with ESPN where ESPN was launching ESPN Plus, if you remember. And we sold them on the idea, all your properties are on ESPN. No one's gonna buy ESPN Plus. Oh no, we make great documentaries, we do this, we do. No one is buying ESPN Plus. I don't care if it's $4.99 for documentaries. You need live events. That's where the world is going. And we are willing to put the UFC behind a paywall. And we kind of got halfway there with Jimmy Pitaro. And then we went to Jimmy's boss, Bob Iger, and we convinced him, and then we got the deal. But that was that was a scary time, honestly, because I didn't know where we were going to go, and this was going to be a disaster outcome. And then the other one, just quickly, was, you know, when I took over ESPN at a young age, our ratings were in trouble. That was the reason why I got the job. We had lost NASCAR, and the ratings of ESPN were plummeting. And yet they were charging cable operators more with every negotiation. And finally, the cable operators were saying, well, we're not paying this. ESPN's too expensive, and look at their ratings, they're dropping. We're gonna go to Washington, and we're gonna say the cable has to be split up. How funny is that? Which is what it is now. It's all a la carte. That's what it is now. But this is BS. We're paying $50 for all these channels we don't want, and ESPN's charging. We should go a la carte. And a la carte was a disaster to ESPN's future. We'll see what happens now, but a la carte was a disaster. And I knew, like, I could fix SportsCenter, I could do this, I could launch Pardon the Interruption, we could go after casual and more female viewers by launching entertainment programs, scripted dramas, and made-for-TV movies, and getting more women's sports on the air. But at the same time, like, we needed new sports, so I wanted the NBA. And I went to David Stern, who's no longer with us, and Adam Silver, who's his lieutenant, or excuse me, he's the commissioner now, and tried to convince them to split the package, because they had NBC and they had Turner. Split the Turner package and let us in the door, and we'll bring ESPN and ABC. And by the way, I was so young that it took time to get David to respect me, right? Like, he didn't want to deal with me. He wanted to deal with Bob Iger. He didn't want to deal with, who's this Pisher? He didn't want to have that conversation. And yet that was my job, and you have to win them over. And it's respect, and it's integrity, and it's directness, and it's honesty, and it's standing up to him for things he wanted that I said no, that he didn't like, but he respected me for it. And then you just ultimately build a reputation, and then you go back to those relationships. That's one of the biggest issues I would tell you we have with a lot of young people, and we try to mentor them, is don't just go to people when you need something, right? That's not a relationship. That's not a friendship. You meet someone and you do a deal with them, or you start to do a deal with them, or it's just an introduction, you spend some time socially, cultivate that relationship. Not in a bad way, in the sense that it's not authentic, you're doing it because you want something down the road. No, if you connect, work on that relationship, no matter how busy you are, nurture it, fortify it, check in, right? When she did the interview with Elliot Hill, fantastic interview, by the way, with the Nike CEO. First interview with the new Nike CEO in Portland. She just got back from Portland. Fantastic. And I was in my hotel room watching it. I was late to my meeting because I was making notes of what I was going to then call Elliot to try to ask him for and tell him how we could help him. But I sent him a note, and with details of, like, I thought you just crushed that interview with Sarah. Like, good questions, you handled this well, you handled this well, you handled this well, and congratulations on your momentum. The truth is, I don't really need anything for him. We do a ton of business with him. We represent Carlos Alcaraz. He pays us a lot of money to endorse Carlos Alcaraz. But my wife and I had met him in the box at the Super Bowl. We liked him and his wife. We kind of hit it off. Started talking more. You check in every once in a while. You celebrate. You congratulate. Like, that's life. Like, and all of a sudden, you become a confident.
Yeah. No, I see that also in leaders, like, not just transactional relationships.
Exactly.
So, Mark, was there ever a risk you took that did not work out, that did not pay off, a big one?
A ton. I mean, I get asked this question. I hate this question because I don't always have the best.
We're trying to learn.
Yeah, the best answer. But the bottom line is, I fail every single day with a bad decision. But you know what? I make them. I make the decisions, half gut and half data, and I make the decisions, and I make them as quick as I have to. And I make a lot of them by the minute, by the hour. Phone calls are coming in, emails, texts. Constantly you're making decisions, and they're going to go wrong. And you learn from them, but you don't dwell on them. You move on. And you pray that you have leadership at your company or a mentor that one mistake isn't going to, right? It just isn't going to destroy you. You hope you have leadership that wants you to take chances, that rewards you for taking chances, that incentivizes you for taking chances. And you have to be honest about the outcome, not point fingers like that. But, you know, I'll tell you, and I've said this before, and I don't want to embarrass Kim, but I feel like, just on a personal note, like, if I go a whole day, you're so busy, you have 10 meetings, this, and you're running, and it's all the impromptu stuff. But if you go an entire day, get to the office at whatever it is, 8:30 in the morning, and you work till 6, you get the train home, a very terrible way to commute, and especially here. And you get back at 7:30, and you went 11 hours, and you didn't check in with your wife once, you failed. Like, you're failing in marriage. If you can't find 2 minutes, you can skip lunch, which sometimes you have to do, right? You can skip this or skip that. But if you can't check in with your family, your wife, your son, you're there, 2 minutes, even a text to say, I'm totally busy today, you're failing. That's happened to me a million times. But seeing that and realizing that is what you gain, and then you try to course correct. I think that, going back to your point about hours, there's no such thing as work-life balance. That's total bullshit.
Agree.
I mean, it's what you and your significant other believe it can or should be that works for you. Because you're trying to accomplish a lot in life. You're trying to build a home, first and foremost. You're trying to make sure everybody's healthy. You're trying to have a loving family. You're trying to teach values to your children that they can pass on in the way they care and treat others. You're trying to succeed so you can have great experiences with your family and friends. There's a lot to do there, right? I mean, you're out there all the time. So my wife is my best friend. My wife is my partner, right? My wife is the mom to my children, and she's there 24/7, and my dogs. You know, and that's a tough gig. I couldn't do that around the clock. I couldn't do it. I don't have the patience for it. I couldn't do it. And then we're there for each other. And when you feel like you're getting disconnected, you take a weekend, or you take a night, or wherever you go out for dinner, go over to Mossico. We're not investors in that. And there you go. And you just recharge, and you have to keep doing it. And I'm proud to say I'm coming up on 30 years of marriage, and I'm excited about it.
So Mark, I wanted to ask you about the media landscape today a little bit, because you mentioned it was funny that breaking up the cable network. So there's a lot happening in our world. Paramount has a new owner, David Ellison, just bought the Free Press. There's rumors that it's going to try to go after Warner Brothers, which is in the process of splitting itself, and so is my parent company, NBC, splitting itself. I mean, all these changes happening because of disruption in media and the way we consume media. Where do you think it's all going?
Look, I think consolidation is upon us.
What does that mean?
And it's around the corner. Well, we've seen consolidation, and we're going to see more consolidation. So you've already got, obviously, the Ellisons and CBS Paramount getting into TikTok. And, you know, are they or aren't they going to buy Warner Brothers? Somebody is. Like, that's going to happen. And you're just going to have less and less platforms because there's just not room enough for everybody. And the balance sheets I would say the financial prognosis, a lot of these companies, is going the wrong way. And if you don't have money to invest, then you're not going to take chances and make bets and grow. And if you're not growing, of course, you're dying. And in media, you're just gonna have more consolidation. And linear is still important. I mean, right now, especially in sports, you want reach. ABC, CBS, NBC, that's 85 million homes. There's 257 million consumers watching television. You still want that reach, but you need streaming because obviously that's the future. That's where all the young people are. That's where the advertisers are chasing, of course, the young people. So you need a combination. But soon, hopefully not too soon, it's just gonna be the streamers. So dinosaur outlets and platforms and, you know, archaic models are just gonna be out the window. And where we're going is, look, YouTube is more people are, you know, that's the biggest streamer on television. And they have an unbelievably profitable business. They're monetizing it in a significant way. They have the youth. TikTok has the youth, and it's just a matter of time till some of these platforms, these nascent platforms, end up getting into long form.
What about AI? Because that's also where we're going. How much are you thinking about that in terms of how transformational it is for media, but also for talent and copyright protections and all that?
Yeah, it's consuming us right now, AI. I mean, first of all, don't fight it like people fought HD. Don't fight it like people fought streaming. Like, it's here, it's coming in a bigger way, and let's figure out how we get our arms around it with the right guardrails and with the right regulatory. But at the same time, and it'll help us with efficiency, by the way. And how can it improve our model? How can it enhance our model? Not take it over. I was on a panel last week in Los Angeles, and someone said, there was a big article about it, the first AI actor being represented. And we said, we're not doing that. Like that doesn't mean we won't long term. Right now, that's not where it's going. But my take was,
wait, they wanted you to represent
they were saying,
AI
will you start representing AI actors? And we said, no, right now, that's not our business.
What are the economics of that?
We'll see. That's all to be modeled and played out. But at the same time, we've always been representing that. What's Mickey Mouse? Right? I mean, that at the end of the day, what's Mickey? And what is AI? It's a bunch of zeros and ones put together, and a model comes up, and next thing you know, that could be animation, that could be CGI, that was Pixar. It's the next evolution of that. So I never say never to that, but right now, I don't believe AI can replace an actor or an actress and the soul that they bring to a script, right? The soul that they bring to a scene. I think we're far away from having that. But we're absolutely all in on how it can improve our model, our efficiency, our work product, and at the end of the day, optimize our business.
Speaking of talent, Jimmy Kimmel, wanted to ask you about that. I'm sure that was a very buzzy topic of conversation.
We rep him.
You rep him, yep. So I know people that think he should be off the air forever, and I know people that think it was an egregious infringement on free speech. What do you think?
Yeah, look, I'm in the free speech corner, and I thought there was so much good about his monologue when he came back. And thank you. And I will tell you that I liked so much of what he said, but what really resonated for me was when he said, you agree, you don't agree, you disagree, whatever, you don't like what I say, you don't have to watch me, but I'm just happy to be able to live in a country where shows like this can exist. And that's really what it's all about. Like, friends, family, you don't always agree. I grew up with 5 kids. We disagreed way more than we ever agreed, right? Could we have civilized conversations? Yes. Could we have respectful conversations? Yes. Did we sometimes have to understand an issue more, read, listen, ask questions, get deeper on something before we had a point of view? Yes. This, I'm not gonna preach, but it's just scary. I mean, I'm out there all the time, and it's just so much uncertainty and so much division and sometimes so much anger. It's just like, we gotta bring the hostility down and respect one another, even if we don't share the same views, and we're not going to. There's so many people I know, you're never gonna turn them, but can you have a respectful conversation, a thoughtful conversation? Of course, sure you can. Are there different points of view? Of course. There are all the time. And I think that discourse, that kind of relationship, that friendliness, that kindness, that thoughtfulness, much of that is missing. And whatever, we're all adults, we'll deal with it. But what are our children taking from that? That's what scares the hell out of me. And that's, what we're, Jack, JT, Ryan, that's what my 3 sons, we're talking to them about all the time. We try to have those difficult conversations. Let's go ahead and be okay with being comfortable with the uncomfortable. And, my oldest son went to University of Florida, and somehow Florida is gone more right, because it wasn't that way when I was growing up. And I remember having a conversation with him where it was like post-COVID, so everybody was like, forget these masks, and Florida was like the first one to take that off, and these shots don't mean anything, and on and on and on, and DeSantis and Trump, and it was, it was a tough time. And he was having arguments with his friends, and they were ganging up, and they were from Florida, and it just felt like a little too one-sided, and he was trying to shed light on the issue as a whole, and he was saying to Kim and me at the dinner table, like, give me some talking points. Help me when I'm having these conversations, not to be right, but just to have a real sensible conversation, a mature conversation where we can respect each other and hear, and maybe, just maybe, have your antenna go up a little higher. Good point, I didn't think of it that way. And we did our best, and he took took with it what he could, and you know, you just hope those conversations don't lead to, we're so different that I don't like you anymore. We're so different that I don't want to hang out with you anymore. You know, we have so much that we don't have in common that I don't want to be with you anymore. You don't want it to get to that point.
Westport probably had masks on longer than Florida at that point.
Yeah. Well, Westport, let me tell you, I grew up in Chicago, Midwest. By the way, that's the heart of the country. That's actually where all the votes are coming from. We know how California and New York are voting, okay? Just for the record. And my wife grew up in Lexington, Kentucky. I'll tell you what this town could improve on. When I drive down the street, my street, and I see someone walking their dog, stroller, bicycle, big wheel, whatever it is, and you wave to them, and they don't wave back. Like, I don't understand that. Like, that's not how I grew up. So do me a favor, spread the word. Because self-awareness, ways we can all improve. We have to know our strengths and weaknesses. This is what I get all the time. Like, do I know that person? No, you don't, okay? You fucking don't know me. But I'm just being friendly. And that doesn't happen in Lexington, Kentucky. That doesn't happen in Chicago, Illinois, or at least in the suburbs. And we could all stand to improve on that.
It does happen in Manhattan.
Oh, of course
in our
it does.
building.
East Coast is a different place.
Yeah. So Mark, of everything, and I know you said you don't take time to smell the roses enough, but what, so far, and I know you're just getting going here, what have you been most proud of in your career?
I'm just really grateful, frankly. You know, I take a lot of time, I really do, every night, to just, or when you have a moment, or you're walking and no one's around you, or no one's calling you, which is rare, or you don't have to jump on something right away, to just be grateful for, and forget about like where we live, or your house, or the material possessions. I mean, that's all awesome. Or that you got to go to this event, or see this, or a live experience, or whatever it might be. But be grateful for your friends and your family. And every minute that I am not working, I am doing something with my friends and family. That is what I'm most proud of. I'm most proud of my relationships. I have a lot of relationships at work. I have a lot of relationships socially. I have a lot of personal relationships. I have a big family, and I invest in them. I really do. And I'll never stop doing that, and I'll never stop spreading that word. And I think that at the end of the day, that and giving back is what matters, right? I mean, you look back on this stuff and you're like, why was I worried about that? Why was I killing myself on that? What a small issue. I was so overreacting. I was so caught up in the moment. It's hard to pull back when you're in that moment. But if you get that time to just reflect and have some perspective and teach your kids about that, and I think I've done that, and slip it into another gear, not always in fourth gear, those are times when I have a lot of pride.
And you got the house that you always wanted in Westport, which is
well, the one my wife wanted in Westport.
Okay, well, there you go. Mark, thank you. I do want to open it up, though, to the crowd, because I know there's some questions, and you're going to go over to the fancy step and repeat for questions, so please.
And this is Peter Propp from Startup Westport. I'm going to kick it off. It was a great presentation. Thank you. So what advice do you have for, I mean, you've made so many interesting decisions across the way, innovated and changed in both your businesses. So what advice might you have for established companies who are trying to disrupt themselves before someone comes around and eats their lunch?
Thank you for that. Embrace disruption. It's never going to stay the same way. How many stories and brands and companies do we have to look at, you know, from Coca-Cola on down? Like, you have to embrace disruption. Never get too high on the highs, or we're just rolling and this just continues. I mean, ESPN's such a good example. Think about that, like, because I spent 12 years there, so I'll use that example. ESPN, when you were getting a cable bill and you were paying, you know, $40 a month in your cable bill, like 25% of that was going to ESPN by itself, right? Like $6, $7, $8 a month. The next highest was TNT at like 85 cents. And then every other channel was much less. That's what the cable bundle was. And you could just sit there and just keep reaping the rewards and taking that profitability and moving on, or you constantly have to think, how do we stay out front? How do we pivot? How do we innovate? How do we create? How do we stretch the norm? And traditional businesses, I don't care what you're in. I sat on the board of Papa John's for many years, and the founder of Papa John's would not do anything more than pizza. And we would scream at him as a board, John, you gotta do it. Like, they're getting into breadsticks, dude. You gotta make the move. Like, no. And then finally he did that. John, we gotta move to desserts. They want a dessert. They want that cookie brownie pizza. You gotta make the move. No. And now, like, next time watch a Papa John commercial. I can't even keep up with the Detroit pizza and this and sub sandwiches. I mean, the way they're expanding. You know what? It may not be comfortable, but get comfortable being uncomfortable. Otherwise, your business will get old and die because people want diversity in life. They want choices in life. So I would tell any established business, no matter how good you're doing, how well you're doing, just don't get fat on that. Don't take that for granted. Don't think nothing's ever going to change because somebody's gonna come right behind you and steal your thunder. And then trying to get it back, that's hard. And that's what Nike did. Nike did exactly that. They were riding high. Their brand was strong. The swoosh, nobody could touch us. Then COVID came. This is the perfect opportunity. We're gonna go ahead and go direct to consumer. So if you want a Nike shoe, you're gonna go to Nike.com and you're gonna buy shoes. We're not gonna put them in Foot Locker anymore. We're not gonna put them in Dick's Sporting Goods anymore. And then we'll own the data, we'll own the customer. It's a one-to-one relationship. You have to come through our front doors. And that started pretty good because it was COVID. Everyone was just going online. It was easy. Then COVID ended. And they didn't realize, no, people want choice. They want to go to the store. And they actually still do. Malls might be dying, but stores are not dead. Retail's not dead. They want to go there and they want to browse and then make their choice. And guess what? When they were browsing, there were no Nike shoes on the shelves. And their market share plummeted. And now you start talking about On or Hoka or whatever. I mean, go on and on. All these other competitors that were birthed because they were sitting still. That's my answer.
Wow, you really did pay attention to that report that I had.
Excellent. Thanks, Mark, Dan Wogue. That was a great presentation. Learned a lot. And you've got your hand in all kinds of sports, every sport imaginable. I don't think bull riding was probably on your bingo card when you were growing up. What is the single biggest threat or danger right now to the sports industrial complex?
Look, everywhere you turn, you see teams selling for numbers. Oh, they'll never get a valuation higher than what the 49ers just sold for. And then the Patriots come around and sell for a higher number. It boom, it just keeps going up, right? Tickets and prices, for now, just keep going up. Advertisers and what platforms can charge for spots in the NFL, Super Bowl spots, keeps going up. It's just everywhere you turn, merchandise. Look at what Fanatics is doing. Like, it just keeps going up. There's no area in sports right now that is under duress. But I think what ultimately kills you or stops you from launching is you need storylines. You have to have, look, the NBA got big on Magic and Bird. That's when it started. And then that torch was carried to Michael Jordan. And you can go across the NFL, same exact thing. And you can look at baseball, et cetera. Individual stories, storylines, rivalries, you have to take time building those stars, building those stories. That was one of the challenges we had at the UFC. Frankly, we still have. Having household names of UFC fighters. It was Ronda Rousey and it was Conor McGregor. I'm not saying there aren't other great fighters, of course there are. But at the end of the day, we had so much, right? So much competition and parity that we kind of didn't have some champions that stayed on the throne for a long time, right? We didn't have the Sugar Ray Leonards, the Muhammad Alis, and the Canelo Alvarez. I mean, like boxing might have over the years. You have to have those individuals and you have to invest in that. You have to really spend time building out storylines and the human connection of these individuals and their stories with the mass consumer in a way they can relate to it. And I look no further than the WNBA. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. This league's been around forever. One of my biggest issues with David Stern was, and why we got off on a bad foot, was because I said, I'm not taking the WNBA. Because he was trying to shove it down my throat when they were launching it. But the WNBA wasn't rating, not because I was against the WNBA, because women's college basketball did pretty well. UConn was winning every year, so we had a big super team. And Tennessee was their big rival. But the WNBA wasn't working. And David Stern was saying, you're taking the WNBA as part of this deal. I said, you don't understand. The reason why I'm getting you is to lift our ratings. That's gonna go counter, because I don't have time to build with you. I need winners right now. And he got pissed off, and Bob Iger backed me, but then Stern hated me for quite a long time. And it was a very difficult relationship to manage, very difficult. And I would just say that now, all of a sudden, Caitlin Clark takes the world by storm. Just one individual, yeah, there's Angel Reese and Paige Beckers, there's other players, but Caitlin Clark took the world by storm, lightning in a bottle. And the NBA and the WNBA seized on that. And then use that with rivalries and platforms and the matchups they made to really try and amplify it. And that's where they are now. And I just saw game 1 of the WNBA Finals, which didn't have Caitlin Clark, which had 2 markets, Las Vegas and Phoenix, was up like 68% in the ratings. That's what you got to do.
Please.
Thank you, Mark and Sarah, for a really engaging and informative presentation. I worked for an AI data licensing startup, past tense.
This will be an exciting question.
Yes, who actually worked a little bit with WME. And I was curious, we were sort of at the mercy of lawsuit outcomes for AI data and IP. They got all the training data. Do you worry about the value of NIL and IP and brand value being eaten by AI? You talked about all the business, processes and efficiencies. Do you worry about fundamentally that business being eaten up by AI output?
I don't worry about it being eaten up, but I worry about, as I mentioned earlier, the guardrails of it, right? Sora just comes out, and Sora, which is, well, you know what Sora is, but just the AI world, and Sora says, hey, we're going to basically use name and likeness, trademark, copyright at will. And if you don't want us to use it, you have to opt out first. So take any one of our clients, we're just gonna use Ryan Reynolds' name and likeness at will because you didn't tell us to opt out. Well, we sent them a letter and said, you're on watch here, and just so you know, all of our clients opt out now. This is one letter, it's an omnibus letter, and we're opting out. I think that's absurd, I really do.
How did that go?
Well, so far we're winning that, and then all the other agencies, and of course the networks and the movie studios are also on par with us. I'm not gonna say they got behind us, but they were just as, freaked out about it. But, that's the problem. Go on YouTube. Do you know how much material is just there that you can call up anything? They're not paying fees for that. And they're frankly getting away with murder. YouTube's getting away with murder. That you can put shows like that, anything you want, songs like that, music videos, whatever it might be, and for whatever the legal reason is and how they're escaping that, they're not paying for that usage. Right. And that's just wrong.
Agreed.
That's what I worry about. That is exactly what I worry. It's not the next actor that's an AI actor, or the next director that's an AI director, or the next AI that creates a really good script. Do I think they can create the next Forrest Gump? No, but could they one day? Maybe. And we have to keep an open mind to embrace that and make it work for us at the end of the day. And we're pivoting and we're iterating every day.
Okay, I have one, we're out of time, but I have one quickie, really final one you're gonna not like, but what, Mark, do you still wanna do that you haven't done?
Look, I just want to, I don't know how long I'm gonna keep doing this, frankly. I just turned the triple nickel, which is 55.5. And I created, and I'm copywriting that, by the way.
You and my kids celebrate half birthdays.
Yeah, but there's none like the 55.5. What else? 44.4, that doesn't mean anything. 55.5 means something. We celebrated, we had a great night. Coldplay in Boston, that was awesome, was part of that.
With your wife, hopefully.
That was my wife's celebration, but I stole some of that. We missed the night, the famous night. We were one night off of the big cameo, let's call it that. But I would just tell you that I love what I do, and I'm gonna. TKO is sports and events and experiences, and it's really having a moment right now. It's in the zeitgeist and representation. I mean, you watch the video, at least for me, I get inspired, I get motivated, I get excited. Kind of the way I was when I first started ESPN, when I was a major sports fan. And I looked at it more as sports and not so much a business that ultimately happened. And so I'm gonna keep growing these two companies. We announced today that on the side, Ari Emanuel, my partner, and I have just launched a fund where we've actually bought a bunch of events. So we have just bought the Miami Open, the Madrid Open, the Frieze Art Fair, cultural lifestyle events, because we're big believers that the 4-day work week in the office is here to stay, like it or not, it's here to stay. And with AI, it might become a 3-day work week. And what's happening is individuals they're finding themselves with more time, discretionary income, even if that's on credit. They want to be together, they want to be communal, they want shared events, and they all suffer from FOMO. They want to be there. So we're getting into the events business in a big way. And so those three businesses are going to keep me busy on the professional end. On the personal end, I want to soak up every minute I can with my family. My son Jack works at Fanatics, actually lives in New York City. Went to University of Florida. My oldest son, JT, is a senior at the University of Texas. He'll decide what he wants to do. And I have a junior, Ryan, who's just got his license, and a girlfriend, I might add, at Staples High School. And we absolutely love Staples. I mean, this town's all about what you put in, you get out of it. And it's really embraced us, and we've, as I said, we feel like it's capital H for home. And I want to continue doing stuff with them. And what you learn as a parent is once they leave being under your roof, that doesn't mean they don't come back on the weekends, or you don't take trips, or you don't go to events. But once they leave under your roof, it's kind of never the same. It really isn't. So you have to work harder the same way you work with friendships and relationships. And we spend a lot of time doing that and trying to get together and really maxing out the Thanksgivings, which is the greatest holiday in the world, and of course the Christmas holiday break. We really try to max that out.
Well, Mark, I think I can speak for everyone here in saying this was a treat. And speaking of events, fantastic event. Thank you for having me. Thank you for being the great leader that you are, Mark Shapiro.
Oh, guys, hang on just a minute. Yeah, please. Sara, Mark, thank you so much. We appreciate you giving back to Westport. The idea and the appreciation that you have for our town. You're acting, you're on a global scale, but you're giving back to your community. So thank you, we applaud you for that. We do have a couple things for you. First, if we could play a video with a special message.
Hi everyone, I'm Jimmy Pitaro, and I had the amazing honor of being recognized by Startup Westport as the 2024 Innovator of the Year. And it really did mean a lot to me, in large part because this award really does recognize that spirit of innovation and leadership that is so important to entrepreneurs and executives across really all of our industries. And this year, Startup Westport is recognizing my good friend and partner, Mark Shapiro. And congratulations, Startup Westport, you got this one right. Well done. And Mark, congratulations. You are so deserving of this honor. I really appreciate everything that we've done together over the years. Most recently is our fantastic partnership on the WWE. Thank you for your thoughtfulness, your creativity, your innovative spirit to get that one across the finish line. And congratulations, you've had an incredible career going back to your days at ESPN and fast forwarding today to everything that you are doing to advance TKO. I am so excited to continue to watch your career development, and I'm excited to watch our partnership expand. Congratulations, my man.
Sara, thank you for making the trip up from New York. We appreciate it. You've been amazing. Thank you. If I could have the Startup Westport board please come up on stage. Mark, we have a couple things for you. First, we have a proclamation from the governor, Ned Lamont, So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Startup Westport board. And then on behalf of Startup Westport, we greatly appreciate you spending your time with us. Here's the 2025 Innovator of the Year Award, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh, it's very heavy.
I don't want to fall over here. I won't make this long because you heard me speak enough. I would just say that, first of all, it's a great privilege and a great honor to accept this award. Very special, very meaningful because it's right here at home. So I really appreciate the recognition. It's meaningful, and meaningful to do it in front of my friends and family. So thank you for that. Thanks to Cliff Serlin and Kara Curtis, KC. I mean, they've not just for the honor, but in putting this whole event together and what they're doing with Startup Westport. So thank you, both of you. Thank you, of course, to the Westport Public Library for hosting us here. This is an amazing venue. I sat here and did a fireside chat with Jim Miller, the author of the Saturday Night Live book, about 3.5 years ago, and it's incredible that we have this. And when I walked in today, my biggest observation as I was walking upstairs was just how many kids are actually using it, which is a testament to what we've built here, the venue that we have, and the way that we promote it around the town. So really excited about that, and we thank the library for making these kinds of events materialize. I want to thank, of course, my wife, Kim, who's here with me tonight, Jack, Ryan, my son, JT, unfortunately, is in Austin. I want to thank all my family and friends that are here. And I would just tell you, sum it all up, is just please remember and really just go on the website and read up, ask some questions of what Startup Westport is all about, right? I mean, the definition, the premise, the thesis of what they're doing, what they're trying to accomplish, and how they kind of live, work, and play. And it's about fostering and growing innovation of our youth. What's more important than that? Fostering that, encouraging that, teaching that, mentoring that, exemplifying that, living it, having real presence around that. That's really extraordinary. And why? Because they're trying to make Westport a better place to work and live. So, awards aside, I mean, this is the real work being done here. This is what matters. If we're not paying it forward, we're not doing our job. Thank you so much.
We've talked a lot about time tonight. Jay Williams' personal story told us that time is valuable. It's also precious. We've talked a little bit about what you can do in time, and it feels like Mark has accomplished so much for the time that he's had so far. And we look forward to seeing what's next. And for all of your time that you took out tonight, thank you. We wouldn't be here without you, and we so appreciate the commitment and the community that we are building actively. So with time in mind, we encourage you to mix, mingle. The time that the library closes is 9, and after that we'll be meeting at Mossy & Co. If you can join us for a quick toast to an amazing evening. So, thank you.